And we are live. Yes, it's that time of year again, folks. Good to see you all. When I wear the stupid Santa crown and take that moniker of Pratt in a hat to the next level. I'll be back in a second. For now, I'll do this and then I'll speak to you in a moment. Yes, I'm in. I hope you can all hear me properly. I'm trying to run different streams, etc., around me here tonight. So if I miss anything, good to see a few people in. I'll go into the chat in a moment, but it's good to see some in there because I was beginning to wonder whether it was actually everything was right, but it seems to be it is. So cheers. Yes, it is the Christmas time of year. Yes, there's people in now. So let's just get into the chat quickly. And then I'm going to explain what's happening. Whiskey with Molly, Ben in early doors. Ben, I hope you're doing all right, buddy. I know you had a bit of an issue. We'll not go much further into it than that, but I just hope you're doing okay. Ben's in, Neil's in, Whiskey with Graham's in, Lee J's in. Who else? North Coast Drummer Tony, Jimmy Legg. Good to see you, James. Richard Agnew. Whiskey Lovers Society Hurt, Jeff Whiskey, Ruben Duff. Ruben, I hope to see you very soon. David Owen, hello, my friend. Craig Blair, hello, Craig. Craig, yes, I forgot about you tonight almost. Fraser Thistle and Papa Q. Your name escapes me right now, but I know you. I do know you. So as I say, I'm trying to run this off a couple of different screens. Connor Smith. I'll try and keep up with the chat tonight, but I may struggle a bit. Because there's going to be a lot going on. There is going to be a lot going on, and I'm going to try and drink my way through it. No, I'm not. I'm going to take it easy. So, what's happening? Well, around and about 6-7 months ago, around that time anyway, I decided to join the SMWS, the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. I'll do this bit of what's going on first, and then I'll get on to what's going on after that. Then at that point, I knew that there was someone, and it was Graham, Whiskey Works Graham, my friend Graham Horner, who was he was already a member of the SMWS, and he said, "Yeah, good idea. It's worth joining." I joined and got whatever you get, etc. And a few others joined. And then what was happening? So at the time, I had this notion almost straight away that I'll buy up some bottles and I'll maybe run a Christmas live. Now, I hadn't planned at the time as to what that Christmas live would be, what shape it would take, whatever. So I bought, what happened was over a period of a few months, I bought 6 bottles. One from each region of Scotland. Then in November, the Glasgow Whisky Festival was happening. Well, the Glasgow Whisky Festival then took legs, as it tends to do, and more of us ended up going than we had originally planned. And that group that went to the Glasgow Whisky Festival was an extension to the Highland Battalion. Now, what's the Highland Battalion? Well, you've maybe heard the name Highland Battalion put about. It's certainly been mentioned. I heard it was actually nice to hear Roy mention it one night in one of his live streams. The Highland Battalion sort of, and this is the way I'm going to explain to you how the Highland Battalion came about. Actually, I'll explain what Highland is first. I'll try and explain what Highland is first. If you read if you look up in the dictionary what a Highland is, it probably doesn't describe, well, it probably describes what a Highland is, but it's not what we would consider a Highland. And Richard News just said he once had a 5-a-side team called the Highland Battalion, and Richard told me that one time before, because it's one of those things. We're not the first Highland Battalion by any means. What's a Highland? Well, as I said, it would be described as something probably not very good in the dictionary. Somebody who's a bit of a scoundrel, somebody you wouldn't want to be associated with. But here in Northern Ireland, a Highland is actually more, it's a sort of colloquial term for somebody. If the way I was trying to figure this out in my own head, if you are prone to being messy, then you're a dirty Highland. If you're prone to dropping stuff, you're a clumsy Highland. Something like that. It doesn't, it's just a fun term. It's certainly not considered an insult. So this was the way we looked at ourselves. And why Battalion? Because it rhymes with Highland. There you go. So it was one of those things then that this Highland Battalion grew legs. And what is the Highland Battalion? Well, it's a WhatsApp group, really, at the heart of it all. It's a group of friends, and I would consider very close friends. About a year ago, one of those good friends, Neil Laverty, in the chat, suggested that him and I went for a drink and suggested we should have, because we started going out for drinks every now and again, small groups of us going out for a drink, and he says we should call ourselves the occasional drammers. And I thought, actually, that is class. We're just the occasional drammers, and we were planning, and hopefully we will have a coin and things that people come out for a drink with us, and you give them a coin, and that they receive that. But it just inadvertently became the Highland Battalion. So we're still the occasional drammers, but I think it's one of those things that when we go out, we're the occasional drammers. When we're on our way home, we're the Highland Battalion. So that's the way I sort of see it. So that very Highland Battalion, we got an awful lot closer. We got an awful lot, started to go out a bit more often, etc. And we were going to go to the Glasgow Whisky Festival. All 4 or 5 of us, local guys. And then 2 other people reached out to us who were going to go to the Glasgow Whisky Festival as well. Not such local guys. One of them, not too far away, Lee J. Brown, coming up from sort of Bristol direction. The other one, quite a bit far away, Drew Lane, a name that we all know, Drew from Arizona, coming from, well, Arizona, obviously. So, and this just, I just thought this was incredible. So we added Drew and Lee J to the WhatsApp group because it just felt right. They're Highland Battalion that just, let's go, and we're not all the Highland Battalion is. The Highland Battalion's anybody who wants to be. It's not this closed group, but it just does feel, for me, it feels like a very personal thing and something that it's just great that this group of friends around me and around each other that we can sort of, and it will, I would like to think that over time it'll grow and it's not, as I say, an exclusive club by any means. So rounding it back, SMWS, I joined up. This all grew legs as well. So I had these samples, and I thought, well, it's these bottles, and I thought, well, now what I can do is, so I just seen beautiful girls here out the corner of my eye on the screen. It's just that sort of stuff never happens to me. It caught my eye. I'm sure Whiskey with Molly will sort that out. So I bought these bottles up and decided then to share samples out with those who were at the Glasgow Whisky Festival. That was the easiest way. 6 bottles. There was 6 other guys there outside of me. There you go. There's your samples. Now, later on, this will extend again. But for now, they've all got a sample of an SMWS bottling, each of them from a different region of Scotland. And the idea is that I'll bring them in here one at a time, and we'll chat, and they'll try and guess which region it's from. There. Simple as that. Those near the end, it's going to be easier for, because there'll not be that many regions left. But we'll work it through. So if everybody's happy with that, I'm going to finish this, which was a little Kilcairn 12-year-old. And I'm going to invite in my first guest, because one of the other things is that I haven't tried these samples. I haven't tried any of these bottles. So I'm so glad this is finally happening, just so as I can actually taste what I bought. So I'm going to invite in my first guest as long as he's happy. And he's given me a thumbs up, so he is happy. So please put your hands together for Mr. Lee J. Brown. You're not in yet, Lee J. Hold on, because I need to make sure that I don't add everybody in one go. So hold the fort. I know what I'll do. I'll solo you, and then I've added everybody. I knew that was going to happen. There's a way of doing that. Hold the fort. Hold on. Well, I mean, most people's going to know who's there now, like, but I mean, bear with me. How have I done that before? Guys, I'll tell you, I know what I've done wrong.
Evening, Jim. How you doing, mate?
Foolish of me. Amateur stuff. Lee J, how are you, buddy?
How are you doing, mate? All right.
Very well, buddy. Very well. It's good to see you in. It really is.
Thanks for this. This is I've been looking forward to this, so thank you.
So have I. As I say, I've just been well. For one, it was such an absolute pleasure to finally meet you in November. You know, and I think we'd all agree that, as we would say here, the crack was 90. It was we just had a ball, and I think it's great that, you know, as I say, we finally got a chance to catch up.
Yes, yeah, that was.
And then the fact that it wasn't just, you know, you or I, and there's so many other people around us.
It was a group. It's definitely, so you were saying, the chat is nice on the WhatsApp, but finally meeting people in person, shaking their hand, and then everyone else, like the whole weekend was. Whiskey was great, but the people just made it.
Indeed. So, what was I going to say to you? It's been quite a year, whiskey wise, in general, for all of us. I think it's been a big year. I don't know. We all seem to have. Personally, it just feels like as if it's been huge. There's been an awful lot going on, and what about yourself? Any big purchases or anything that stood out to you this year?
I'm just making sure the missus ain't listening in. Yeah, no, it's been a quite. I really do. So I was discussing Glasgow. I suffer with FOMO, something rotten, and I've got to address that. But selection has grown tenfold, I think, in like the 12 months, and there's two or three whiskies that really do stand out. And it's only recently in the last, say, 2 or 3 months that. So I don't know if it's just because they're there in the forefront of my mind because I've tried them recently, or they are just that good that they're staying there. So it's thoroughly dry. It's two. The Kilkerran 15 come out. That was stunning, and I've had to hide that at the back of my shelf just so I don't go through it too quick.
That was quite early in the year, wasn't it?
That one, I think. I think that was, when was that? End of the summer. I think I managed to get hold of that.
It doesn't even ring a bell. I must have missed it.
Yeah, I must say it was only because I was in the shop I buy from that they said, oh, they contacted me saying this is in, do you want one? And it was, well, yeah. So I had to go over and try it. I'm sure that was end of the summer, but this year's just flown. It might have been earlier. And the other one, quite easy. It's just quite nice and simple. Just the Ben Nevis 10 blew me away on. Really enjoyed that one. Really,
I'm so glad to hear you saying that, because I was a little confused whenever I reviewed it there recently, and I didn't know that Ralphie had completely panned it, the Ben Nevis 10, and people then were highlighting it to me and saying, you know, about it. Ralphie didn't like it at all, and right enough, 75 out of 100 he gave it. Now, in fairness, that's just one man's thoughts, but I just found it a bit strange then, and I started to think, if I don't, you know, is there something wrong with me that I don't? But then an awful lot of people then jumped in on that review and said, no, Ben Nevis 10's beautiful. There's something incredible about it.
And the further you go down the bottle, it's getting better and better. Really enjoying it. But I don't know, I really enjoy Ralphie and his views, but and it is that one person's view. But there's a couple that he's been, oh, this is amazing, and I've gone, really? You know, it's probably going to go against, and I'm probably going to get some flack for it. But the Aaron 10, meh.
Well, you know, I know you and I are in the same camp there, like, so. Lee J, let's just face it. You and I know whiskey. The rest of them. Yeah, no, I didn't really mean that, people. I'm only joking. Just in case anybody thought I was being serious about it. But it was definitely some year, and the thing was the Glasgow Whiskey Festival. I think for us particularly, and I always feel like as if I'm trying to sell it. But I don't think we do. I think it sells itself. And I think it'll be good going forward. And I mean, at the end of the day, you've got your own club.
Yes, finally. Yeah, I'm so glad that's started. There's nothing in the area, and it's gone well, and it's growing quickly. There's so it's only just over a year old. I think I started it in October last year, and there's 10, and more and more are asking to join. It's unfortunate that we haven't had a meeting for the last 2 months because of the way everything's sort of landed with the way that. And it's only a small club where we meet. We bring bottle. It's not like a bottle split club as of yet, but it's getting there. Yeah, I think we're going down that route.
No, that's great. Happy days, you know. And it's one of those things that the more people you encourage to get into whiskey properly. I know you and I were discussing this in Glasgow. You know,
exactly.
It's and I know you were slightly concerned about how they would maybe just want let's just drink sort of thing sometimes, but I suppose to a certain extent I suppose a lot of us all started like that. Really, you know, it took us a while to actually start and discover the more delicate side of whiskey and the
yes, yeah, that's right. There's more to it than just getting you drunk quick.
Yeah.
And that was probably my main thing growing up was I just thought the 4 optics, so you got teachers and bells, and I had no idea what was out there. And it's brilliant. Brilliant.
Well, listen, rather than dragging this on all night, you have a sample in your hand, and it should be one that said on it whiskey something.
Yeah, it's the bottling Christmas 2022. It's just got me name on it.
Yeah. So thoughts, as in, what do you think of it as a nose in the first place?
Well, the peaty smoke hit me straight away, but it's not like a seaside smoke, or it's not medicinal to me. But it's so inviting. It does bring you say, come back, have some more.
It's big, isn't it? And sort of citrusy. Now, the thing is, anybody that's watching on, I know what this is. Lee J doesn't. It is an SMWS bottling. And we're not here, as I said, to try and take it apart or try and figure out exactly what it is. I'll tell you what it is in a moment. But it's just, I think we all did this. That was the other thing, anybody that's watching, we all did visit the SMWS. Drew visited on a different day from us, but we all visited while we were there. And that was quite an experience on its own.
Yeah, that was like an Aladdin's cave. That was such an eye-opener that day. Amazing.
I think the thing about it is too, because everything from the SMWS is cask strength, natural. It's one of those that you need to be careful with it, isn't it? Like, that's what I'm telling myself now as I'm putting water into that, because
you got 6 of these to go through.
Exactly, it's got the potential to be a long night. It's funny. As I say, I do know what it is, and it's something that I know is a very distinctive note.
Like you said, the citrus is there. I got a little bit of vanilla.
Yes.
And then it's like almost like the start of a boil sweet before it gets too sweet.
Mm-hmm. Craig Blair's saying, I know that's not the one I'm sipping. I bumped into Craig. Craig called into the shop the other day, and he was telling me he was bringing samples. So I brought him samples, and I brought him a sample of one of the whiskies that one of you guys will be tasting tonight, but he doesn't know which one it is. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure I can remember which one it is, but
no, there's like there's a straw element to it as well, quite a dry.
And even you said two things there. You said straw, and I would have finished that with strawberry. I'm getting and the boiled sweet thing. I'm getting like a almost like fizzy strawberry bonbons.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah, that's very nice. I'm gonna have to put the rest.
And there's even a slightly meaty note off it at the back.
Ooh, yeah.
Finish could be a bit longer. As in it
tends with the you got it's like you said, the cask is the high ABV, but yeah, quite a medium-y short finish on that, really.
Yeah, no, that's you would think because of the peat or because of the smoke. There's definitely smoke there. There's no denying that it was going to run on, but it doesn't. It tends to just drop away very quick. But nonetheless, I would say it's a good start.
That was lovely. Thank you very much.
Do you feel like you would like to take a punt at which region of Scotland it is?
Right.
Now, it's. I do apologise. The pressure is on you.
When you said I'm going to be first, it's like cheers.
I do apologise for that, buddy.
I'm going to say because it's not coastal. I think it's a Highland.
Right. That would you're putting your money on.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to tell you as we go along here. So as I say, it narrows it down that people, I can tell you're wrong.
I'm not sure.
In fairness, you're right and you're wrong because it does say on the bottle that it's a Highland. So we're saying there's 6 regions. So it's actually an island.
Oh.
This is riding on the turf. Riding in on the turf. Society cast 42.79, and it's a Lechic.
Is it?
It is a 14-year-old Lechic.
Wow.
Bottled at 58%. Cask refill ex-bourbon hogshead. And the other thing I can tell you is that so as I was confusing myself so desperately while I was doing all this as to who was who and who was pouring samples for, etc., that everybody got a colour. Now, the colours mean nothing, but it all became a bit like Reservoir Dogs. So you're Mr. Green, Lee J, just in case it gets called that later on. Just so as we know. As I say, means nothing, but just in case it comes up later. But yes, that's what that is. So anybody later on who's maybe getting called up, and we're narrowing this down, Lee J was for Lee J. Didn't actually realise that, but it's,
I like that.
Didn't mean that, but
happy coincidence.
Lee J, thank you very much, my friend. Remain in the background. We will we'll call you in after, and we'll do a bit more chatting later on.
Brilliant.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
So, Lee J, just going to put a small X beside his name there because he got it wrong, and I'll even write on it what he thought it was. Not that I'm judging, but I could understand how it's very difficult to figure this out. A few new names come in. There was quite a few people come in while I was talking. James Morgan, David Owen was in earlier, I think. No Nonsense Whiskey, Vin, good to see you, buddy. Peterhead Frank, good evening, Frank. Thank you for joining us because I know you were rushing home from work. Whiskey friend Alan, good to see you, buddy. Kilco Whiskey Musings, how are you, my friend? Yeah, there's a few people in there. Good to see you all in. Thanks for joining us. So, we'll move on. And where we're going to next now is I was going to say originally that I was going to pick these people randomly, but I had to put some sort of order to it. Otherwise, it was just going to get messy. So I did tell them earlier in which order they would be coming in. And I'm now going to bring in Neil Laverty. Neil, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. How's you?
Just you and me. Now, I know the nerves are struggling. The thing is, Neil, I said to you before, mate, go with the flow, man. You've had a good year of whiskey yourself.
I have. I had a good year. Just let me apologise because my wife says I have a good face for radio. So,
Neil, Mandy's a lovely woman, but she shouldn't say things like that.
It's been a great year, especially getting away to the festival and meeting people. That's what it's about, isn't it? Meeting people. That seems to be the thing that came out of the show.
I think you're 100% right. And I said that myself, that, it starts with I think it starts with the people personally, and the whiskey's an add-on.
Yeah.
It was so nice. An awful lot of people that's in the chat here, never thought I would ever meet them, or say I never thought I'd meet them. But the fact that Macallan Fine and Rare, the doc, was over, and just so many, so many of these people that show up in the chat, that you and I, because you and I went out for a drink yesterday, as we did to celebrate last year's drink. And you forget, I think we forget that we don't know these people.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were discussing that about how you spend your time in these, and because most of us are barflies, most of us are actively barflies. So we forget that we spend so much time with these people in chat rooms talking to them that we've never met.
No, that's it. You get this misconception about who they are, and then you put the face to the name and you go, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is, I always feel that 9 out of 10, I was going to say 9 out of 10, but I don't think I've met one yet personally that I didn't, that I never spoke to in a chat room or whatever, that weren't even nicer in person than they were, in chat rooms and stuff. So I'll ask you the same as I asked Lee J. Any standouts? And I know, and I'm stupid because I was nearly going to pour your standout because you gave me a sample of it yesterday. Standout whiskey of the year.
I have a couple, but I like that James 80 Glen Murray Oloroso finish. It's a 10-year-old. I think that's cracking whiskey. And then I actually used what always been using that off license Fairleys. So I took a trip up to Fairleys to try and get some of the Springbank release. But he wouldn't let me take any away, unfortunately, until he had his quota. But while I was up there, I bought a Gordon MacPhail, a Glen Ross 11. And it's outstanding for me. It's just, it's only 43%, but it takes water really well. Mm-hmm. Figs, Christmas cake. That's been probably the one for me. I've replaced it now. That's not like me. I normally drink a bottle, buy something else. So
I know you do, and I know your way of doing things is different from some of the rest of it. I've said in the past that I love the way you do things. Take a ball, take your time with the ball, enjoy that ball, and then move on to something else. That was something else I was going to say, was that you've spent, like a lot of us actually, spent an awful lot of this year with independent bottlers. Now your two standouts are indie bottlings.
Yeah. I think that's where the value is at the moment. That Glen Murray, they done that, is it Warehouse 1 and finished in Oloroso, but it's way up around the 74, 75 pound to 80 pound mark, where that James 80 was coming in around 60. So the values there, all right, it's maybe not as old, but it's still a great whiskey for what it is,
Yeah. No, you're 100% right, mate. 100% right. So listen, you should also have a dram, and I know that you have been doing your homework. And
Legend.
I know we joked about you cheating by doing your tasting notes up front, but it wasn't. It was literally a joke.
Well, I'm getting like red apples off it.
It's a fresh number,
isn't it? fruity, red apple maybe.
Yep, I'll give you
Spend
that.
a wee bit of time. There's a wee bit of caramel floating about there, but
I'll
it's
give you
not.
that
It's not.
too.
It's not like a. I don't think it's an Islay smoke. I don't think it's that. You know.
You see, you're down the right path because you're discounting what you don't think it is.
Yeah, I think that time we spent at SMWS. I think inadvertently we managed to pick 4 bourbon finishes or
Yeah,
bourbon barrels. That's something not unlike it to
an
me.
awful lot of them tend to do, and I'm actually going to take a quick look here and see what. Yeah, I was just looking to see what the maturation was in that, and I can say you're right.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really drink like a high ABV, does it? Really?
Here's one for you. What do you? And I'm going to give you a wee hint here. What do you think of the mouthfeel on it?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't know whether you're leaving me down, but I've been thinking Highland for that. To be fair, I was thinking like maybe a Clydeniche, or maybe even I haven't really tried. I've only had one small drop of the Oban, but I don't think the
Can
Oban
I
has
stop
that.
you?
Yeah,
It's a Clydeniche.
you're joking, is it?
No, I'm not.
Yes, redemption.
Redemption, mate. Anybody's wondering what needs. Sorry, I've gone a bit blurry there. I'll come back. What needs talking about? We went to Roy's tasting on the Sunday, and now you know what's going to happen now, Neil, is people will be crying fix because you and I were out for a drink yesterday. But I can openly tell everybody that this is no fix. It's very good all round. It's called.
Yeah, very nice.
It is Society Class number 26.162. A Highland, Clydeniche. I know it's Clydeniche. First fill ex bourbon bottle at 59.2%.
That's good. I'm not as bad as I thought it was.
You're not as bad as that was why I sort of said there about the mouthfeel.
Yeah,
It has got that waxy, slight waxy feel about it. And even
I don't think it's as waxy at that higher ABV. You not think when you take the actual Clydeniche itself, the 14, you not think it's thicker than that?
I would agree. Although I'm going to add a drop of water. That is an incredible palate in that.
Yeah.
The nose is a bit misleading because as much you were right, I'll give you that red apple all day long. You know, it's but it was McCallum Fenrir. Doc's asking what price. That's a good question. Probably, I would say, Doc, probably around the £55 mark.
It probably wasn't around that, I would have thought.
Because I know the sorry, this is terribly blurry. I'm going to do one of them, see if it comes in. I know that anything around the sort of 9-10 year old. Johnny Legg has just added to the ball fund. Blair, cheers, my friend. Guessing the distillery is worth a dram. Well, it wasn't me that guessed it. That was Neil. You know, Neil, I nearly want to cry. It sounds wild, bad. I'm wild proud of you because you were so nervous about this.
I was, but no, that's lovely. It would actually drive me to join SMWS. I'm the only one who hasn't joined it yet.
I know you're talking about it anyway, so but it's the mouthfeel in that. It's just it's creamy the whole way, and as I say, it's got to me it has got that wee hint of waxiness, but as to whether it would be as noticeable if I didn't know what it was. You know, but fair play to you. You picked it out. Well, listen, in case before your head gets any bigger, I'll because that's brilliant.
I really couldn't.
No, that is brilliant. You're getting a massive tick beside your name there and a Highland. That's just to make Lee J feel even worse. I can see his face here, but nobody else can. So look, now I'll speak to you in a minute.
No problem.
We'll move this on. I'll get the next boy in, and well done to you, and we'll speak to you shortly.
Okay.
Cheers, man. Fair play to Neil. Now, in fairness, he did say, Highland, Clynelish, but I had to stop him there because that was, I think he was 100% right. Well, he was 100% right, but it was the fact that when he got it, he was on a winner. Take it then and go with it. So I'm going to call in my next guest. Now, the thing is, this is a guy. I always think, I think this is quite funny. Lee J. Brown is Lee J. Brown. It's a name. Neil Laverty. It's a name. My next guest goes under the name North Coast Drummer. So his name might not be as recognizable to some of us, but he's probably the most recognizable to me because him and I he was the first of the Highland Battalion to approach me when I've told the story before, but he showed up at my front door with a mask on and gloves, etc., etc. And yes, it was during lockdown, but when it happens in Northern Ireland, especially it was a black, almost nearly full on balaclava. I forgot we were talking about colours earlier on. Actually, I forgot. Now that you're off screen, you're Mr. Pink, by the way. There was that was the way it came out. This is Mr. Orange. It is Tony. Tony Kane, North Coast Drummer. How are you, my friend?
Oh, good, thanks, Mr. Orange.
Good stuff. Tony, as I said, you showed up at my door, and as I said, I've told this story quite a few times. You showed up at my door out of the blue. I had never met you. You'd never met me, and just went. It was the fact that you had a mask on and gloves and all that. It did scare me a bit. It was the fact that you just went Jim when I opened the door.
I know. It's one of them ones where you sort of forget you're wearing it all day at work. I was going to take it off, and I didn't know your circumstances for the whole COVID thing, so
yeah. No, but sure, it's all worked out in the end. And Tony and I that's the thing. You and I we've met quite a few times this year between different things, one thing and another, and I would like to think that that'll continue. There's no reason. As a matter of fact, I think, as I keep saying, I think it's actually gathering legs.
Yeah.
I would certainly think going into next year that I would like to. I've never thought of going down to Dublin for Whisky Live or anything like that because I just couldn't be bothered with it. But next year, I think I might.
Yeah.
Because I would have my mates around me. That's the and that's basically the way I look at the Highland Battalion. And
yeah.
And funny, even going into next year's Glasgow Whisky Festival. As I said, Craig Blair called into the shop the other day and he said to me, you seem to have a great time. I would love to join you next year if that's. I was like, of course, man. Just come ahead. There's no, So yourself, any standouts of the year?
There's been a few, like Lee J. Ben Nevis and the standard distillery bottle whiskey blunt, but we'll go for something different. The Little Brown Dog Wee Mongrel.
Right.
It's a 20-year-old blend malt. That's really good. Tried a sample of it first, and that's the one searching for it.
Mm-hmm. Happy days. And that's because that's the thing. You're a bit of a dark horse. Like, you buy a lot of whiskey, I would say.
Partially.
And it's one of those things, because I always laugh at you that we talk about these things and sort of go, there was such a bottle, such and such was talking about this bottle and it was supposed to be great, and you went, I got one of them, and it's like, oh, did you know? You kept that quiet.
No, I'm the same with most days. I suffer from FOMO and somebody else likes it, and I say, oh, I'd like to try that.
It's something to do with those mafia links that you've got as well. That's an in joke. It's not any of us that went to the Glasgow. Tony adopted the name Tony Ten Coats Kane, and it was something to do with coats, and we all remember it. And it's one of those things you had to be there, but it was funny to us.
It was only 2, 10 sounds best.
I know. You know how these things get exaggerated.
Most definitely.
Right, Tony, you should have a dram in front of you.
I do.
Now, this one, I'm gonna. I suppose I didn't give Lee J any hints, did I? Can't remember. I didn't really give Neil any hints, but I just stopped him when he was right. I'm going to drop one in here and just say this is a bit of an oddity. It's a funny nose, for sure. It's not what I expected it to smell like. What do you think yourself?
The first thing I thought when I took my own it was that really that fizzy sort of effervescent type smell, which I got from, well, I've only had that from 2, but they've both been Highlands, so it's not that.
It's one of those ones. I get you what you're saying, and weirdly on the palate, that effervescence shows through even more.
Yeah.
It's not unlike what Loch Lomond are doing. This isn't a hint. This is just me. It's not unlike what Loch Lomond are doing with the Chardonnay yeast.
Yeah. No, if I would have said that once, and even when I was 10, I get that same sort of effervescent thing from.
It's definitely, it's an oddity. And already, without having tried too much of that, it's much, much better than I had hoped for. I didn't know what I was going to expect from this one. I didn't know what to expect. But that's... I hoped for it to be good, but I just didn't know. I said to you at the start, before we went live, I did say to you, there's no tricks. And technically there's no tricks. But this one is it's a bit of a... And before I go too much further, Craig Blair's hitting and stuff. And Craig, this is the one I shared with you. So, fairness, we must be describing it quite well because Craig's getting the same thing as we're getting.
Was that Love Heart Fizz and then
very nice, actually. Different, but nice.
Yeah, that's definitely. It's a wee bit sort of melon, green melon.
It goes very dry. Is the one thing I will say. So, the question is then, where's it from?
It's one thing I'm not particularly good at is regions. But,
as I say, unfortunately, I have sort of thrown you a bit of a curveball with this one.
If I was, I would say I tasted for a wee bit of apple, light fruits. I'm just going to say Speyside.
No. And I'm sorry, because I do, as I say, it is. This one was always going to be difficult. And I wasn't taking the hand. I just thought I would sort of fire one out there to give you something a bit. This is actually a lowland. It's a lowland single grain from Strathclyde. It's a 16-year-old single grain from Strathclyde. And you said melon, didn't you?
Yeah.
Two melon medley, it's called. And it's cask, Society cask number G10.39. Ex-bourbon cask, initial cask, ex-bourbon cask, or ex-bourbon barrel. Final cask, second fill. HTMC hogshead, which was heavy toast medium char. And it's a bottled at 59.2%.
What age is it?
It's 16.
It's really good for. I would always not really went for single
Well,
grain.
you know, it was one of those ones that I wouldn't. My hand was sort of forced a bit with it because where SMWS and Lowlands are concerned, you're really looking at Auchentoshan generally. And I had an opportunity to buy a couple of Auchentoshan's at a time and didn't take it. And then what happened was whenever it came around to buying the bottlings for this, they weren't there anymore.
Yeah.
So it was just the timing of it. But I thought this was a great alternative.
That's really good.
And it gets better. I was actually expecting, being a single grain, I imagine, and I never looked into it, pardon me, as to whether it's a grain mash or whether it's malt through column stills.
Yeah.
But I was expecting a bourbon like whiskey, but it's far from it.
No, it's only that I didn't know what it was. I would say it's some Loch Lomond type.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
I'm
some
hoping
experimental stuff. You know?
the other thing I'm hoping is that all the other boys have already been are taking notes because people will find out later why. So there you go. As I say, apologies, mate. I know it was a bit of a curveball, but
No.
somebody was going to get it.
I'm glad it was me because it puts single grain back on the radar.
This is it. It's something a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Listen, I'll move on to the next boy, if you don't
Sure.
mind. And Tony, hang about, and we'll see you shortly.
100%.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, I do. I do sort of feel a bit bad that I did that there because it didn't. Yes, it was a single grain, but I mean, who out of us would pick a single grain out of anything? And I'm glad it looks like Craig Blair enjoyed it as well. So we'll move on to the next one. Who have we got up next? This is another one of the sort of long-term Highland. I can't even remember. Graham, he probably knows better than I do how we originally met. Like most, probably through the chat rooms. It was this man, Mr. Graham, Whiskey Works Horner.
All right. Good night.
How are you, mate?
I'll tell you what, what about yourself?
Very good, very good. You're looking, as a matter of fact, in the scheme of things and the color that weirdly, you were actually Mr. Black. How dark you are in the corner there.
He's later. Hold on. There you go.
All ready for Christmas, mate?
I pretty much got a few bits and pieces to do, but nothing too bad.
Put a whiskey order in with Santa yourself?
Maybe one or two.
So
I don't know what I'll end up with.
Funny, Mrs. Novice said to me, "What do you want?" I just said, "It's me." Like, so she went, "All right, just surprise you then with something." And it was like, "Yeah." So whenever I come home from work on Saturday, she says, "Your present's under the tree if you want to have a hook," and it did go boop boop. So it was like, "Yep, that's you know me well."
You know exactly what that is.
So yourself, mate, and I know. I think we've yet again. You and I were out during the year. A time or two, met up a few different people, and I think that you enjoyed yourself at the Glasgow Whisky Festival.
Absolutely. Absolute cracker weekend. Just had to put that on the night. If it'll actually go in. There we go.
I know, sorry
As
for
I
your
said,
bad.
like the same as the rest of them. It was more about
Mhm.
meeting the people than anything else. The
Yeah,
whiskey's just a byproduct of it.
it definitely
So it
is.
was.
Definitely is, and it just as each year goes by, we meet more and more, and it just
Yeah.
I can't wait till next year to these
Yeah.
events start up again, and
Definitely.
get to meet more people. And that was the thing. There's Richard Agnew. Well, Richard's actually saying, how come we never met Graham this past summer? Well, Graham was working.
I got stuck working that day.
That's
That
the
was the
thing.
one
'Cause
day I couldn't get off.
this is it. And I was actually trying to think to myself, well, who was out? Tony was out
Mhm.
with us. And Neil, I think. Wasn't Neil?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just one of these things that we meet up with these people. And I know Roy did it. Roy Aquaviti, Duff, Barflies, etc. Most of us know, did a thing last week where he said about friend, he was just basically chatting about friends and how everybody had met up and the bottle chasers and all that there. And I sort of thought, typical, here's me coming in a week and a half later doing something that looks like as if it's exactly the same thing as he's done. But as I said to you, I've had this has been in the planning for 6 months. Like, so it's,
Yeah, exactly.
and it probably even further back because, well, we've already done one last year. And as I say, the more that we all get out together, the more I want to do these things with the people that I know and the people that I can relax with,
Oh, absolutely.
So, standout whiskies this year, mate.
Probably just because I popped that open there. That Dingle batch 6. Unreal.
Ah, yes, the Dingleback.
So
No, as I did say to you, and funny. Well, Graham popped into the shop to buy that the other week. And on a day that I wasn't working, which was chances.
the one time.
The one time, but somebody came into the shop today and bought another one, or bought one.
There you go.
And it wasn't me that served him, but I kept hearing my name getting shouted. Oh, Jim loves that. Jim absolutely loves that.
There
And
you
that's the thing. I mean, Dingle, it's not just that batch. I've said it before. It's what Dingle do. It's what they're, and how they've went about it.
Yeah.
So I just noticed Hellswed's having to jump out. Helen, Andy, cheers, folks. And listen, if I'm not speaking to you or see you before it, Merry Christmas to you. Graham, you have a dram in your hand. I take it's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, out of everybody, out of the 6 of us, the 6 of yous, yours was the one that I went, Graham has to get that one. Everybody else was sort of picked at random.
Oh, shit.
I don't know why.
Time for the swear box.
Well, I sort of do know why, but because you mentioned somebody at one point to me, and I thought, well, let's see if I can something. It's yet again. I found this with a lot of them, and I think it's the really high ABV that makes the nose quite tight. But yet again, it's quite lemony, citrusy.
Yeah, I'm getting like the lemon, like the sweet shop confectionery kind of thing off it. Like that sherbety kind of thing and all as well.
Oh, what a palate.
Oh, that clings the whole way. It just
that could possibly be the best one yet in the palate.
Is it a bottle I have by chance?
I don't know because I don't know whether you have it or not. Yeah, maybe you have. I don't know. Maybe this is why I inadvertently bought this one and give it to you.
You bought the same bottle.
Yeah. That palate's awesome.
It's not the one I kept checking on while we were in Glasgow, was it?
No.
No? Oh.
No, it's not that. I wouldn't do that on you. That was.
Why not?
No, this is not. In fairness, this was one of the first ones I bought whenever I was buying the 6 bottles. This was one of the earliest ones I bought, and straight away I went, "Oh, that's the one for Graham." Because I think something as to say, something in the back of my head tells me that you mentioned these guys to me one time, and I had never really thought much about it, but that's great. And you add a drop, take a wee sip, add a drop of water, and it all just starts to open up. That's one of the best yet out of the 6 that have, or out of the other ones.
Say one of the only other ones I've got that lemon citrus out of was that Tullabarton. Those juggling flavor balls, the 8-year-old.
Right.
And I got that same citrusy note out of it.
Right. I can tell you it's not Tullabarton.
No.
But and now it's starting to go very hot.
It does after a second, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to actually I'll let that sit a minute. So we'll not drag it out too long. What are you thinking? I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not. Tony, I wasn't trying to trick either, but it certainly inadvertently did so.
See, I want to say Speyside, but it's pretty densely populated.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That it makes it very difficult because it's so densely populated that, you know, and it's got an awful lot of styles going on within it.
I'm trying to think what other ones I've maybe mentioned to you before. Longmorn, no? Potentially. No way. You're joking.
It is.
Because that was the next one. If I hadn't said Tullabarton, it was going to be Longmorn. Was going to be the next one.
And you said something else. You said something about Sweet Shop, and it is Sweet Shop in the Dunnage Warehouse.
I actually looked at that bottle. I was this close to getting it, and I wish I had it.
Well, there you are. Now you know what it tastes like.
That's a crack.
It is a Society Cask 7.278, 12-year-old, first fill ex-bourbon barrel, Longmorn.
Because that's, now you've said Dunnage, I'm getting like the damp grass in a forest, or you know, like after it's been raining, like that kind of wet grass.
I'm just writing down I was going to say your scores here, but then that'll make the others, you know, those who failed so far.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Come on.
The thing is, yet again, I don't know why I've gone blurry. I always seem to go blurry whenever but I can see Lee J's face, even though anybody else can't. Tony's taking up with pride, like, but Lee J. What else did I see there? Sorry, Whiskey with Molly Ben. I wasn't going to drown the night, but he's poured himself at John's Lane to toast the Highland Battalion. Well, Ben,
good man.
Here's
good
to
man,
you,
man.
No, that's a good call. Now, in fairness, I did lead you a bit by things, but I never once, when you've mentioned a hell of a lot of different whiskies to me. For you to go, to pick Longmorn out of one of them would be doing bloody well. Like, so it's the fact that you nailed it.
That's unreal.
And it's not what I would consider Speyside.
No,
it's not floral or fruity or you know.
So I was getting a wee bit of heather at the start, like at the very, very start when I first smelled it, when I first opened it, and then after that it disappeared. It just completely went, and then it just went to Sweet Shop, lemon sherbet, all that.
That's class. Because I remember you saying to me one time, did you not do the poor man? Was it the poor man's Longmorn or something like that? There,
I know the poor man's Longmorn 16.
Yeah, because I've got a sample of that. Something that I've never opened yet. You gave me.
I've still got some of it there. So if anybody else wants one, I'll see how many I can get out of it.
That was the Whiskey Tribe did that, didn't there? Was a blend that they what did they blend to make that?
Highland Park 12. Then Park was 10. I want to say Glenmorangie 12. There was something else, but it was like the tiniest bit of it, just to tip it over the edge.
And funny, I could sort of, even though that's all bourbon. And the thing is, somebody mentioned it. Was it Tony mentioned it earlier on that no, it wasn't. It was Neil, that nearly everything that we did in the SMWS was all ex-bourbon. But you're doing well actually to pick out ones from SMWS that aren't ex-bourbon maturation.
Yeah, that's true.
They just tend to all be that sort of. But
because it's either bourbon or rum cask. If you're not doing bourbon, or if
it's the thing that showcases the spirit best.
Yeah,
in my opinion, so if you want to showcase your spirit, use a tired bourbon cask, and
rechar it.
Yeah. Yep. Listen, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Done. I will call you back later on, and we will
absolutely.
We'll discuss something else.
Indeed.
Till then, well done, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
You guys. Yeah. There's David's picking one out. There's and it's one of those things that I'm convinced that whether you know that you're doing it, sometimes I think it's just you're picking things up as you go along. I'm convinced of it. We'll move it on, and we're going to move it on. There's been people coming and going in the chat, and I apologize that I'm not really dipping into the chat as much. Maybe the night there's an hour gone already of the live stream. I'm not finished going through the first bit of this. There's going to be a second bit, so we will move it on. I'm going to introduce you to somebody who now this is another person. Oh, Jimmy Jazz is in. How are you, James? That's funny. I introduced Jimmy Legg earlier on as James, and of course it's his Blair. That was Jimmy Jazz I was thinking of. How are you, mate? Not that I don't love you as well, Jimmy Legg, Blair, taking his way back out of that hole. I'm going to introduce you to a guy who some of you probably won't know the same. He's, although you should. Now, everybody in here tonight, I have dropped a link to their Instagram in the video description below, because all my guests, I probably met them on Instagram first. If I didn't meet them in the chat rooms of Roy Duff Aquaviti, I met them on Instagram, because Instagram was probably the first place I went to whenever I was starting the whole whiskey influencing thing, or whatever you want to call it. And this is a guy, and I only discovered then after that, quite a while after that, how local we were to each other, how close we lived to each other. And we started to meet each other at different events and stuff. And he's such a great character and somebody that I love very much. And it is my friend, and now, as I say, a lot of you won't know this guy, probably, but you'll get to know him. Nigel, Mr. Whiskey, N.I.
All right, guys, how's it going?
Now, if ever you need it, I'm not taking the hand, Nigel, but if anybody was going to need an interpreter, now's the time.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
No, I'm literally only taking the hand. How are you?
I'm not bad. Not bad yourself.
Very good. And listen, I appreciate it. I know, like a lot of us, you were working right up to the sort of 11th hour of the night, and then you were just dropping. You were getting in and coming into this live stream. So, listen, I really appreciate that, mate.
No, thanks for including me.
Oh, Nigel, and this is the thing. We haven't made a barfly out of you yet, but we are trying. And the thing is, we talk about barflies, and it's just because most of us knew each other first through, and I know you and I we've all talked about this, going into Roy Duff Aquaviti's live streams, and we're in the chat and we'll get to know each other. But then the thing is now that some of us stray the other way, and we start to go in different formats and get to know each other. And you've been reviewing, that's the thing, you've been reviewing whiskey for quite a while now.
I think 2017, I think it started.
Yeah, so it's in the scheme of things, that's long. Because there's an awful lot of people.
Maybe when you've been reviewing them from about 2000, maybe to 2019, maybe.
Aye.
But just started off with pictures. We just started off with just taking pictures of bottles I was buying, and then evolved into doing reviews. It's never really meant to be
I know.
a thing. It just turned into a thing.
This is it, and it's the fact that you're out there at events and people that don't know you or don't know me or don't know Neil or Graham or but they sort of know, and all it takes is to get to meet one of us now is sort of the way that this is going.
Yeah.
And when you get to know one of us, it doesn't take long before you get to know the rest of us.
Yeah. You meet everybody through everybody else, sort of.
Yeah. And I think whiskey, we've discovered that what we thought was a very big world isn't as big as maybe we thought. And it's I think we've sort of started to get a very close-knit community around us. And there's people that you knew before I knew you, and people that I knew before I met, and we're all starting to, it's one big Venn diagram, and in the middle of it's whiskey.
Yeah. Everybody's starting to cross over and get the meet up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about yourself? Any standout whiskies this year?
I mean, most of the whiskies I've been drinking this year has probably been Irish whiskey. I know ever since Glasgow, I've been trying to get more into the Scottish whiskey side of it. So probably tried a lot of good Dunvilles. Last week I was down at 2 weeks ago down at Fairdies. They had the new 13-year-old release. A couple of months back, got to try the 21-year-old Palo Cortado release. It's now one of their core ranges. What else? The Redbreast tasting and whatnot back a wee while back.
Funny because it's some that we haven't mentioned tonight really is Irish whiskey. Now, in fairness, we are doing SMWS bottlings, but that's the other thing that, and Tony knows this. Their SMWS pick up on Irish bottlings as well. They recently, I noticed, put out a West Cork.
Yeah,
which
there was a new Bushmills there.
Yep.
This month. So
that's right. They did the Bushmills, as I say. They recently did a West Cork as well, and it's great to see that they're picking up on.
There might be a random one to state. There might be a short cross one coming soon too.
Right.
They did SMWS. There was a feature with short cross and the magazine. If you go into the online bit,
right?
Yeah.
You read that stuff.
No, well, I was chatting to the guy from Short Cross on Instagram, and he directed me to it, so I read it. And then
Well, there you are. I can see the honest mate.
A short cross on the don't be saying I told you, like, for. I'm maybe
That's the thing. I genuinely like. I mean, even whenever they send out that great introduction pack and all with the magazine, whenever it was still a physical magazine, I've never looked at it. It's hidden away in a cupboard somewhere because it's, as Graham Horner here said, and I found this quite funny. Whenever I read Graham's Facebook profile, and it's that bit where it says favorite books or something, and he said, "Do I look like I read?" And I thought, "Yep, that just sums me up." I'm exactly the same.
As long as you
exactly. But no, right, mate. You should have a dram in your hand or in front of you, certainly.
Yeah, I think there's some of it left.
Well, you see, now Nigel's was the only one that I made a good point of writing in the corner of the label. Do not open until you're told to do so, because when you give Nigel samples, there you go. Do not because when you give Nigel samples, you can guarantee they'll disappear pretty quick.
I'm not then
you go back there and go, what do you think of such and such? I probably like that. Can't remember. But that's at the end of the day, that's what it's about too. So you've got some left in your hand.
Yeah. There's enough to do. Bit of a mild nose to that, I thought. There's definitely smoke jumping out there, a wee bit of meatiness to it.
Yep.
Some caramel and vanilla.
Yep.
Quite an oily mouth feel to it.
I haven't actually. Hold on.
Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
There is actually
a wee bit of prickly heat in the back of the tongue there too. A wee bit of dryness.
It's very dry. Hold on. Oof. Oh man, that is dry.
It just sucks the moisture from your tongue.
It definitely does, man. I don't think I've ever had one as dry as that, and it's no.
Maybe the high ABVs just.
the thing about it is, yet again, I know what it is, and it's easy to say this, but if I honestly think I would have, if this was the first time I was trying this, not knowing what it was, I would have a pop at what it was, because it's quite distinctive.
Yeah, there's a lot more of that peat soot smoke coming through the palate. More of that meaty kind of texture to it.
What do you think of it? Is it, would you enjoy it if you were sitting in the SMW? Now, yet again, this is a sort of stupid question, because you actually asked me a great question the other week, after the Redbreast thing and the friend at hand. You texted me later on that night or the next day or something, and you said about if you had the sort of money that you could just buy a bottle of that and it not cost you a thought, would you still enjoy it? And I thought that was one of the best questions I think I've ever been asked in whiskey. And I just went, no, I wouldn't, because budget drives what you buy.
Not just a special when you can just lift it willy-nilly here or there.
Exactly. So, and this is something that I know you've recently joined the SMWS. He says, proudly wearing the badge. It's one of those things that I think, and I know a lot of indie bottlers, or, there's loads of indie bottlers out there, so we could go to any of them. Yeah. I think it's just the fact that SMWS have that sort of once a month thing, and you just go, but there's that, but it's the fact of what, that going into their own place, that Bath Street, and I know they've got the vaults in Edinburgh, etc., as an experience in its own, to just go, give me one of them, and you're going to get your mind blown in one way or another. So what do you think? Give us now, you possibly get the simplest one here for region.
Or that the peat and the meatiness too, I thought it was going to be an ale. So did, but
right, I'll give you that. It's an ale. So you get a big tick. You want to have a stab at what distillery you think it is?
I think maybe our bag be a bit too obvious, would it be?
Well, what I will say to you is that you'll do well getting an art bag at SMWS. That's something that I've noticed, and you'll probably notice yourself whenever you sort of look at what they're giving out. It becomes very focused on who gives out or who will sell them.
Yeah.
Single casks. Who will sell them a cask. Frank Peathead is suggesting a distillery, and he's wrong. Well, if that's is distillery. Frank's saying distillery 29. Is that Ardbeg? I'm not quite sure. You're right, Nigel. It's Isla, and a tiny bit on that. I've added water to it, and it gets much better. It takes a lot of that dry finish out of it. That was really dry. Ben's saying 29's Lagavulin. You'll be doing well getting Lagavulin out of SMWS as well, I would think. I can tell you that it's not Kalila. It is stir-fried peat.
Stir-fried peat.
A 10-year-old Kalila. Society bottling 53.427. And once again, refill ex-bourbon hogshead, bottled at 60.5%.
0.5. Yeah, so maybe just that wee bit too dry. Like it's
that's the thing, because that was why I said Kalila is one of Kalila's one of every. Here we go. I was blurry there for a minute again. Kalila's one of the only ones that shows up quite regularly, and I thought to myself, I'm always going to get my hands on a Kalila here. I'll not be beat. And then whenever it came time to getting, I don't think I'm giving away any secrets whenever I tell this. Whenever it came time to getting a bottling to finish off the series for this live stream, there was nothing from Isla on it at all. SMWS was completely stripped of it, and I was like, "Ah, crap! What have I done? What am I going to do now? I need a bottle." And what happened was, I sort of panicked, and I bought I thought, well, I'll buy another indie bottling of something.
Yeah.
So a few of you have actually ended up getting. I'm looking over my shoulder because I can't remember. A few of you have ended up getting as an extra sample a North Star 7-year-old Stoisha from Bunnahaven, because I don't know. I don't think I gave you one.
No.
Certainly gave it to somebody. Neil, I think, got one, and Graham got one. Graham's got his hand up. Lee J's got his hand up, so I can see him. So ended up giving, yep, Neil's jumping in. So ended up giving, because I thought at one point I was going to have to give out, I was going to have to give you a different, that wasn't going to be SMWS.
Yeah.
But you ended up, at last minute, they put another Kalila back on the shelf.
At least you get a bit of it right.
You know, that one is, you're right, Nigel. It is. It's sort of hard work there at first, and dry and etc. See, whenever it calms down a wee bit, and I think the fact too, I think the fact that I've been building up a lot of sort of bigger ones and all there too, it does get better. Like,
well, your palate's maybe more ready to it now. You're saying you've had 4 cask strength whiskies already, so
yeah, well, there's that possibility. It's hard work, this, you know. Everybody thinks it's good fun. Nigel, listen, mate, I appreciate it. I will call you back in very shortly, and we will continue this conversation on a different sort of subject, but something still close to our hearts.
okay, grand.
Cheers, Nigel. See you soon,
Good
mate.
man.
So there's one more of the Highland Battalion that went to the Glasgow Whisky Festival, and once again, there's a bit. It's nice to see so much chat going on in the chat, and I apologise for not being in and out as much as I should, but it's good to see. My phone's buzzing. I don't know if you can hear it. It's for the most part, it's the Highland Battalion chatting in the background is what it is. So I'm going to bring in the other guy who was there with us, the one who travelled furthest afield, and who I was absolutely made up to finally meet. And somebody I was considering a good friend anyway, but just to finally meet the guy made it even better. Drew Lane. Drew, Nigel, you're still in. Hold on. There you go. Drew.
Hi, Jim.
How are you, my friend?
Doing well.
Good.
Doing very well. And
Good.
I got to say right off the front, I'm honored to be a part of the battalion. I mean, really, it was such a treat. And I mean, what a great group of guys.
Drew, I know. I mean, it's the fact that you came from, to say the other side of the world sometimes sounds like it's easy said, but technically you did, you know, and just for the weekend, really. It was just, I mean, it blows me away to this day. And when I tell people about us going to the Glasgow Whisky Festival, when I say I'm going to the Glasgow Whisky Festival with some friends, and I go, there's a guy coming from Arizona. And they go, what? It's like, yeah, he's coming all the way from Arizona just for the weekend to go to, and this is the thing. It meant the world to us, and it meant the world to meet you, Lee J, all of us, to be in the one place at the one time. It just, you know, blew me away.
Me too. I agree.
And I know it'd be hard on anybody to do that amount of traveling in the period of, what was it, 6 days or something you were in total, something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, oh man, I just thank you.
Yeah, it was worth it, definitely.
I'm so glad. You may have noticed, but it's almost drained.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Drew brought us all one of these over, and it was a local to him. And mine's just about done, but I'll finish that after. So Drew, any standout whiskies for you this year?
Yeah, it's a tough choice for me, to be honest, because I've been kind of in a Ardnamurchan craze, but I have to say, all things considered, Roy's release meant the most and was probably my most enjoyable, because I've always kind of wanted to like Loch Lomond, and everybody I know loves it. And I had tried a few of them, and I was starting to think maybe it's just me, and I have kind of a blind spot for how good they are. And then I tried that release from Roy, and it's like, oh my gosh, now I know what everybody's talking about, and was just so fantastic. So I think that one takes the cake for me.
And it must have been nice whenever you got to meet Michael Henry and get offered the because I know it was for me, you know, although I'd already met him a couple of times, but because I said it recently, I can't remember who to, that whenever he gave those other two Chardonnay, and I'm saying two, maybe I'm letting something away that I shouldn't let away, but yeah, it just meant that bit more.
Yes. Yep, I agree. And I was chasing that Chardonnay yeast, the open edition from the previous years. I couldn't ever get it. And a little bit of a bottle chaser at times. And I just kind of resigned myself to, maybe I'm just not going to try the Chardonnay yeast until Roy came out with his. And so that, allowed me to finally enjoy it. And I agree, Michael Henry, the type of guy he is, to be so approachable. And he's just one of the guys. And I mean, sitting there at the Blind Challenge and listening to Tony talk to him about Bushmills, and it was just, you can't make that stuff up. It's just fantastic.
No, I agreed. And the thing is, too, this, you'd already had an adventure before we met you in Glasgow, because you went to the SMWS yourself, and then you went with Kevin Grant to over to Stirling, over to Deanston.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things. But it got me. You had already impressed me without. I mean, I just love your generosity and stuff like that there. But it wasn't that. You had already this passion for independent bottlers, because it was you that introduced me to Navarran, and the two guys who. And in fairness, they've gone a bit quiet of late.
Right.
But it must be a very difficult thing, independent, but to get into that league when there's so many people already doing it now.
Right. Yeah. And they kind of hit home with me because they both work in the defense industry, and that's what I retired out of.
Right.
And both of them being engineers and just kind of doing this. They're very much entrepreneurs. And, I tried it, and it was really the first peated whiskey I liked. They had a Kalila that was sherry matured, and, it was just fantastic. And that was at a point where I was trying to like peated whiskey, and I wasn't there yet, but it was the first one that really kind of opened the door for me. And now I won't say I'm a peat head like Frank or anybody, but I've found that I've liked more and more peated whiskeys, especially the subtle ones. I love them. Absolutely love them.
Excellent. Well, Drew, I'm going to say to you again, I apologize. I had samples that should have made them to you, but they don't affect what we're doing right now, because you should still have a sample that is your sample, SMWS. What am I right? Do you have a sample?
I do, and gosh, the beauty of going last. I mean, if I'm listening at all, I mean, poor Lee J, man, he had to start us off, and that's a tough spot. But coming last, especially with something like this that was, I could detect some subtle peat, but that could obviously be several different regions. So yeah,
still, and the thing is, some people have got theirs wrong, so it's obviously you can't get it really wrong now because what's been said. But at the same time, there was still the potential earlier. There's still the potential what comes next, but you'll know what it is. You'll know where it's from, should I say? But
Yeah.
We'll give it a bit of a nose and see. I haven't actually. This is the first I've nosed this. So
Oh, brilliant.
because I was, as I say, held back in all of them. I didn't want to. And it's like all of them I'm finding tonight, they start out very tight on the nose. They don't give it not an awful lot.
You know, I looked at this and I saw a pale color and I thought, okay, you know, maybe a bourbon barrel maturation. I started getting some subtle peat. And then I started, you know, when I tasted it, it was like cupcake frosting and creamy and just wonderful. And I'm not sure what this is because, you know, Campbelltown obviously, but it doesn't have that funk that I would think a Springbank would have.
Mm-hmm.
But so then I'm thinking, well, Glen Scotia, maybe. I had a Longmorn, Longrow.
Yeah.
But the only one I've had was one that Jimmy Jazz gave me. It was a red. It had, you know, the wine maturation, and this tasted thicker and creamier than the Longrow. So, you know, I'm thinking maybe a Glen Scotia, but whatever it is, it's fantastic.
Now, once again, like I said, the nail, well done, sir. And the other thing is, yes, you knew it was Campbelltown. I mean, that was sort of, I didn't do that for that purpose. I didn't put you last for that. I put you last because you were, it's like, what time is it there? Like 1 o'clock there now, sort of?
2:30. Yeah.
2:30. Oh, you're all right. You're in drinking time now. It's it is 93.158. It is a Glen Scotia. It's a 9-year-old mechanic strolling by the sea. First fill ex-bourbon cask, 61.1%.
Boy, it doesn't drink like 61.
It's a beast, and it doesn't. And did I just add water? I certainly got my. Yeah, I think I did just add water there. I wasn't sure whether I did or not. And it's actually, I don't think I did. It is a beast, but it is a very drinkable beast. And yet again, the thing is, it was probably, as someone who only joined SMWS this year, it's one of those things that they don't. I mean, I can tell already that Kilkerran's Springbanks show up very, very rarely, in the same way that Ardbeg, Lefroy, you know, it's something that very select and very hard to get. So I wouldn't expect to. Unfortunately, it's the sad thing about it that I would love to be able to get my hands on an independent bottling of Springbank, but they just don't happen, do they?
Yeah.
But no, it's still, you nailed so many of those notes in that.
It's a great dram.
Like all of them, it just, that drop of water and that. Sorry, I'm just writing down results here as we go along. Still, we've only got two who have let the side down.
That single grain, the single grain was an asshat, though. Come on,
it was an asshat. It was all right. And Lee J was first, so I mean,
yeah,
That's so nice. That's so nice, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, Drew. I really am. It's
absolutely.
And of course, you sent me back the samples as well as other things, glasses, etc. And well, the same as every sample that I'm still getting, they're all getting masked, every one of them. And so many people giving me samples recently that when I already had, and I did count them prior to saying things recently about maybe not continuing to do live streams, etc. That's another subject. And I did have over 100 at that point. And then everybody started giving me samples. And it was just like, what the hell are we going to do with these? But it's no bad thing. It's no bad thing. Drew, my friend, your samples are there somewhere, and your Christmas card is with them. please hang around if you can, because we're going to do something else now, but you will still be able to have an input. And something I did realize was when I was chatting to you all earlier, that I can only have 6 people on at once. So it's because I'm a skinflint and haven't paid for the full StreamYard. That's just me being. If it was, I understand, and this is something I want to just put out there now for everybody, because Vin was in here earlier on. Vin had a poke at me at one point a few months ago and said, "Get that StreamYard off the corner of your screen and get a Whiskey Novice logo." It's all right for those like Roy, etc., and those that do live streams regularly. It pays to do so. When I'm only doing them once a month or less, it's like I may as well do it for free. You know, that's the way I'm looking at it. So that's why you end up with a streamer. That's why I can only have 6 people on at once. So I will, Drew, if you don't mind, drop you out of the chat for now, and we will have the first 3 back in again, and we will do something different. Drew, my friend.
Thank you.
I will speak to you soon. Cheers, brother.
Thanks.
I said it. All of these guys, these are just friends of mine. These people that are just around me as a constant circle. And I said it to somebody recently, and then I was talking to somebody. I was explaining to him how my wife Julie says this. She says it's so nice to see you with such a close group of friends, and it's you guys, it's these whiskey friends. So it's the Highland Battalion and others. So what else? What am I going to do now? Well, when I give everybody their drams, the whole thing grew legs a bit, and it just started to extend. I wanted to do more with it. I couldn't just do that and leave it at that. So what I then did was I give everybody somebody else's dram, and I literally gave them a bottle that said someone else's dram. So they got somebody else's from this 6. There. Surely that's fairly self-explanatory. I'm constantly checking my phone here in case somebody's saying something. So I'm going to bring in the first 3 people who I brought in earlier on. I wanted to bring back, this is me being, as I say, a skinflint. I would love to bring back everybody at once and say, whose dram did you get? But I can't, because I can only bring in 6 people at once. So I'm going to bring in the first 3, who were Lee J, Neil, and Tony. So Lee J's been sitting here very patiently. Lee J, thank you, my friend. I appreciate the fact that you've been sitting, hanging on. Neil and Tony, I do, guys. Thank you for hanging around and I was going to say being quiet in the background, but I mean it was, you know, I don't know. You could have been saying whatever the hell you wanted. I had you muted. So, did you glean anything from that? Did you learn anything from what everybody else was drinking?
Yep.
No.
I was enjoying. I was watching on. Very too much.
Well, listen, as I say, it was damned confusing for me because it was all one of those things that who have I sent what? Like who did they get? What did they get? You know what I'm scared to. So I'm going to go, and this will thin things down as well. So what will happen is at the end of this, Drew will know what's coming in the post for him. It's basically as simple as that, because he'll have figured out what the rest of you have, because I'm going to explain to you what you've had. Now, what I'm going to do is you tell me what you think you have. I'm going to write it down, but I'm not going to tell you just yet. I'll write it down, and then whenever we get to maybe an end scene or something, post-credit scene, something like that, you never know, wild exciting. We'll see what you've actually got. I see there's 3 girls in again. Sorry, I just noticed that. Corner of my eye. So I'm back to. I'm going to have to uncap all of my. I've had all my whiskies capped here. I'm going to have to uncap them all. Good old Aquaviti caps. Let's see. Lee J, what did I give you? Now I know what I gave you. What do you think you got as someone else's dram?
But it's
Listening to what we've been talking about.
well, if I wasn't giggling at what was going on in the chat and also what was going on WhatsApp, if I caught it correctly, I think this might be Tony's, and I think it might be the grain.
So you reckon it was a lowland?
Yes. Yeah.
And you think it was Tony's? So I'm not going to drag this out because I want to put you on the spot, and I'm just going to really drag it or you really nail it down. So
Yeah, I'm wrong, aren't I?
no, I thought. DJ, I'm not here to make an ass out of you, mate. You're here.
I can do that myself, don't worry.
So, who do we have? Neil.
Oh, well, I might have struck a wee bit luckier. I've had a wee bit of peat and a wee bit of bacon and stuff. So I'm thinking maybe I've got the Coal Isla. Not that I've tried Coal Isla before, but I'm thinking that's what I might have got.
So you are saying you would have had the Isla?
Yeah, I'd have had the Isla.
Which was Nigel's. Okay.
I could have got through by the Lachig, but I do think it's me too.
Don't say too much now. Don't say too much. remember you got away earlier on by saying very little. Tony.
Pass. I have a wee bit of peat. Not.
It's funny because I'm jumping back and forward now. I'm tasting the drams that I know you have in your hand. It's weird. It is bizarre because they don't taste it what they tasted like earlier. Because I've went through a few and
I'm just going to guess Campbelltown.
you're going to go Campbelltown. Now, as I said, boys, I'm not here to this is just about fun. Remember that. Remember that. I'm not going to tell you yet. I'm going to drop you back out and bring in the next three, and then I'll speak to you shortly. All right.
Yep. Cheers.
Where do we see? Let's just mute these guys out because I've already made a hash of that earlier on. So the next three I had in were Graham, Nigel, and well, Drew's going to basically be at the end of this, but you'll by the end of it, Drew, you'll know what's coming in the post, as I said. And I do apologize again for them not being there in time. In my defense, the postals, the postmen, etc., have been on strike here for a while, and it's all gone a bit. Nobody's getting Christmas cards this year, as long as they get presents. Graham.
Yes.
What do you think you have now? I don't know what I'm picking up now because of right. I do know what. Yes. Whose dram did you get? See, this is where it became a bit like Cluedo, and this is why I gave you all colours. So it was. I forgot to get the Nigel was Mr. Red, Drew, you were Mr. Blue. Colonel Mustard.
I think I potentially have Lee J's.
Right.
Don't know why, but I'm getting a similar note to what he was getting.
Okay, so you're happy enough to lock that in?
Not really, but go for it.
See, what concerns me now
It
is
could be worse. Could be worse.
that I have sent us all the wrong things, or I've either labelled them wrong, or
But you've
because
given me
this
the same one twice.
is.
I'm happy with,
Well, actually,
I'm happy with that too.
I almost did that with somebody. I'll explain that in a minute. DJ. Nigel.
Controversially, I was going to say Lee J as well for mine, for nose and strawberry flavors and like the
Well, you
sherbet.
can.
Huh?
I mean, there's nobody saying you can't.
No, I'm going to go for Lee J for that. I wrote that down from the start.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one win so far. I'm happy enough.
No, I wrote that down from the start, so I'm just going to stick with it. But there's no point changing it.
No. As I say, there's nobody saying you can't. Well, obviously, as I said, Drew, you didn't have your samples arrive on time. I apologize. But what I'll do is here, rather than singling you out, I'll close you all down for now. And Drew, you're just a dash because you didn't get your samples. So you win, Drew, no matter what. That's the easiest way. Well, I'll solo you out for now, and I'll go back to myself, and I'll speak to you in a moment. This is, as I said to these guys, I've been talking to these guys over the months, and if this is confusing to anybody out there, you can imagine how confusing it was to me. Now, what I will do briefly here, I'm saying briefly, it's not that briefly. There was a guy who didn't make it to there's a Highland, a member of the Highland Battalion who didn't make it to the Glasgow Whisky Festival, and I have to say I did feel terribly guilty that he didn't make it. It wasn't my fault, it wasn't his fault, it wasn't anybody's fault. Just he didn't make it, and I felt like as if he should be involved in this in some way. Al,
can you hear
nobody
me?
can hear you. Oh, there you are now.
Can you hear me now?
I can, but you're on mute, so we can drop the mute button at any point. So just the man with the keys to the swear box. So just
What about that? Nope.
Yes, I can hear you. Don't worry, I can. How are you?
Yeah. Aye, well, I'm not too bad. All the better for seeing my big friendly alternative Santa.
You're looking beautiful as usual, mate.
Oh, you too, buddy. Oh, miss you so much.
Are you a Scorpio?
Aye.
I should have known that. Like,
Yeah.
see, so am I. But it was just I just seen the necklace there.
No, normally we sort of clash, but you and me just seem to get together and.
Oh, we'll do all right. We'll do all right. So what I did do was I sent Al all 6 samples. So all you got, Al knows. Al, did you drink them?
No, I didn't. I'm living with Drew because they never arrived. I'm in Arizona.
Seriously? Did
Yeah.
they never arrive?
No, it's an awful long way from Armagh to Hannelong, like. So it is. It must be like
I
30
didn't know that,
miles.
but you get a text the other day to say they were going to be there the next day.
Aye, never arrived.
Oh man!
But I've still got a SMWS bottle or two here, so I can.
I just
Sure,
took it
no.
for granted. I just took it for granted.
I'm like yourself. I joined up this year, and I'm very glad I did.
I'm so sorry, buddy. I just took it for granted that you got them.
Well, it's not your fault, obviously. But like my local postman is one of me good mates. He got a queer kick in the arse the next day he arrives.
But listen, well, it sort of deflates this a wee bit because I was going to ask you as to what you thought of each dram, but what I will ask you is you joined the SMW.
By the way, I'm into Christmas.
Erin's been out of work again.
She has indeed. She made me promise that I would show this. And also, because she wanted to say hello, but she's away to bed, she painted this very bad picture just to show you. That's supposed to be me. And she purposely did it bad. Just to, that's her view of me. What can you do?
Now, fair play to her. Fair play there. No, I'm so sorry, but I just took it for granted that they were there with you, and well, you said it yourself. It is what it is. And you had a bit of a day at the SMWS in Glasgow yourself this year with Ben, the Whiskey Diary.
That's right. It's one of the things that I was always very dubious about actually joining the SMWS. I've been looking at different things, and I was I'm not sure. And then I was over for a wedding, and Ben and me connect quite a lot. I guess, really nice guy, great channel, and we just hooked up. Had a fantastic day out. He took me to the SMWS place with some fantastic whiskies there, and I was like, I'm going to have to join this because the whiskies are just so damn good. It's like some of the distilleries who maybe dumb down their whiskey a wee bit. This shows you what they can be like when they're at cask strength. And the people in there were so knowledgeable as well. And it was like, it's got to be done. And then there was an offer, great intro pack. And I say, I've got 4 bottles since, and every one of them have just like blown me away. Brilliant.
It's funny. I know, as far as I know, Tony still, and I don't know who else does it, maybe everybody else does it, but Tony still would go on the on flavor, on name. It doesn't matter which distillery it's from. You're basing it. I couldn't do that. I went straight on. I've actually got 2 websites constantly open on my Google, which break the code as to what distillery it is, because I just need to know. And Linkwood, one of the first things I was looking for that day when I went in was Linkwood, because Linkwood sort of, to me, they're blend fodder from Diageo, and I just want to know what I've had other Linkwoods, but I want to know what SMWS has done. And we got an SMW. That was one of the ones that we had that day, and everybody just fell in love with it. And it just proves they know. To me, SMWS, not that other independent bottlers don't know what they're doing. Of course, that's but just the fact the SMWS is so accessible. That was just one of those things. Here's pick something, go for it.
And the fact that you could go to like Edinburgh or Glasgow, those like real hubs of whiskey, and you've got your membership card, and you can go in and just experience something on a different level. Like funny. I like to go on basis of the distilleries too, but the last bottle I got, and I'll show you here, it comes up, go to focus.
Yep. Frothy Fabulous.
It's
single grain. Yeah,
single grain, but it was just the pineapple custard, meringue, and zingy lemon curd tart, followed by watermelon and apple fizz balls, as well as lemon flavored sherbet dib dab. And you know what? You would like this, because, and you know what I'm going to say here? You're a Tweety shop, dude. And you know what? I said, when it only arrived there like last week or something, and I poured a wee dram, and it was like, you know what? Those notes are dead on. And Erin came in, as I've said to you many times before, if I say to her ma, here, have a sniff of that, she's like, whiskey. Erin's like, that's strawberry. Like those wee things you dip in with a bit of fizz. And I was like, she's only 11, like.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And
wait till she starts drinking.
I know, that's the scary thing about it. My children at 11 and 14 do exactly the same thing, that they're not put off by, especially whenever I'm shoving peat monsters under their nose and going, what's that like? And I'm expecting them to recoil and just, go, oh, it's disgusting. And they're going, well, it's smoky and it's this. And it's like, yeah, you're right. You know what? And as you say, now maybe the thing about it is, maybe because the new generation coming through are respecting spirits an awful lot more rather than mistreating them. So maybe it's a good thing that there
could be a thing, because there is a resurgence in it now, and like I'll take things a wee bit off key here. You just brought a memory back into my head, going back like maybe 10, 11 years ago, and I see you're grimacing there and you're thinking, oh, what the hell is he going to say? It's not going to be too bad. As you know, from my previous employment, there would have been certain patrols that would have targeted underage drinkers. So one night in a certain town where certain young people were known to congregate and drink, and it had become a bit of a problem. The boss says, right, go down and take a drink off him. So that's what we did. And one of the guys comes up and says to me, did you never do this when you were young? I says, I did. But we drank proper alcohol, not this lemonade pish that you've got now. And he had no real answer, because it's all proper alcohol when we were young, not this.
Yeah. It's the fact, sorry, that was very calm from you, Alan. It was the fact that Whiskey with Molly sitting in the chat going, moderator at the ready. Novice hit mute now. It's one of those things.
I saw the look in your face.
Because it was one of those things that even whenever it was bringing you in, it was like with a modicum of joy and anxiety. Here's whiskey straight out.
That's it. And I haven't had to add anything into this word box yet.
You're right, because that's somebody, even like Al, you and I knew you were going to be in here tonight.
Yeah, but nobody else did.
And I was going to say only you and I. Somebody else did, but we'll not mention that because I sneaked a wee. Yep, Tony's waving at me. Tony knew about it because I liked it. I was saying to these boys, I was dropping wee bombs to boys and saying, "Here, you never know what might happen with all this here." And it was one of those things that I did feel bad that you didn't make it over to the.
Oh, well, sort of. It was just the timing, and then, as you know, there were other things going on as well that.
I know, mate.
What. Tough couple of months, but you got to keep Tony Tencoats in the loop, in case he puts the head out on you, because he sits there in the background and he gets in all these whiskies, and then he appears at your door with drams and prints and stuff, and you're like,
yeah,
he knows where I live. He knows where I live, I appreciate what you're bringing now, but God forbid you get in the wrong side of him. What would he be bringing the next time?
The high water community, mate.
Oh, it's first class. Sure, look, my highlights this year, apart from, going over it and actually going to the SMWS and meeting Ben, was like when we met up there in June with Richard Agnew. Hello, Richard. And what a day out, and what a care package, I wish the NHS were as good, but it's just brilliant. It's the people, the whiskey's great, but it's the people and the people you share it with, and the way we've all met from just doing our thing online, and it's just amazing. And the way we all get on, we're like, as I say, there's not a better name for it than the Highland Battalion, because that's what we are. We're just big Hallions. We don't take ourselves too seriously, and we really just love what we're doing. And the bonus is all meeting up with each other, getting together. And I've been blessed this year. Like I know Drew's sent me an Ardnamurchan, and
it's in what I posted to you.
Yeah, and I maybe get from me 60th, and the which is not that far away.
No,
not a bit away, but it's the likes of that. And I've had we met Richard. There's another guy who linked in with me on LinkedIn from Australia when he was here during the year, meeting some of his family he hasn't seen for a while. He's originally from Northern Ireland. Made a one-way trip from Belfast when he was here to bring me a bottle of Australian wheat whiskey. And it's and you think about it, like you and me are fairly close in terms of geographical location, but like somebody from Australia, who finds the time to come and do that, and then like we talk quite a lot, and connect on social media, and it's a great community, and as you say on your intro, we're not just whiskey tubers or whiskey reviewers. We're mates.
Yeah.
And that's what, and it was that one love of whiskey that brought us together. But
Yep.
it's much more than whiskey. We're all mates, and that's the beauty of it, you know.
But something I've learned from working in the shop too is that we're unique, all of us, and that I love. Don't get me wrong, I love working in a whiskey shop's great, but so many people coming in and it's just like, oh, I know whiskey, and they start just going off on one, and it's like, and you sort of go, there's no, you don't want to find a snobbery in it. You don't want to go, oh, mate, you don't know what you're talking about. You try to involve people, you try to pull people into it, but when they're talking to you and almost talking you down and knowing more than you do and all this here, and it's going and going, I'm banned for my father who's a whiskey connoisseur, and it's like, really, does he call himself a whiskey connoisseur? Because if he does, he's not. I can nearly guarantee you he's not. You know, it's that sort of thing that just irritates me, because the people that I've met through whiskey are so much more down to earth and relaxed than that, and this is the thing. People have said to me about the novice bit. You're hardly a whiskey novice. I say, look, it's only a name, but I am, and we all are. We're all learning. Yeah. So it's like, look, don't play on that thing, and that's just, and this is why I've said it before. I just love what we all are and who we all are, and we'll continue to do so.
We know a bit about whiskey, and you learn a wee bit more every day. You learn a bit more by reading things. You learn a bit more by watching people on YouTube and whatnot. But nobody knows it all. Like, there's still distilleries I haven't heard of. Like with this bottle here, I hadn't even heard of Balmenic until I joined the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. You know, and it's there's none of us perfect.
No,
you know,
indeed.
And like even the Lord of Whiskey, Jim Murray, he doesn't know everything either. You know, and obviously from what a few of your guests were saying, Ralphie knows bugger all either.
This is the thing.
You know, and I'm on your side when it comes to the Ben Nevis 10, because it was one of the standout whiskies for me this year too. You know, it may have been better in previous incarnations, but my sister, who doesn't do drink at all, I'm the only one in the family that ever drunk, and he explains a lot, but she knew this was one of the things that I was looking for, and it's hard to get. Waitrose over there, 40 quid.
Aye.
You know, and she said to me, I got a message from her that said, I'm in Waitrose. There's 10 bottles here. Do you want one? And I was in the shower, and I never got to come out, and I was like, well, do you want one? I was like, of course I do. Oh, there's one for the... She should have known, just pick it up. You don't need to ask me. I said there when you went over, get me some Ben Nevis 10. When she went back, and that was within 10 minutes, there was only one bottle left. You know, so she brought it in.
It just shows you.
Made me bloody give her the money for it, mind you, so it wasn't but I still got it here, and I'll say I'll do a review of it, and that was before the summer, and I've still got some of it, and that's not like me. It's just one of those ones to savor and sit back on, and it's So I'm with you on the Ben Nevis 10 front.
Good. Glad to hear it. Well, listen, as I say, it wouldn't have felt right to have a Jimbo's Crimbo, which you come up with, without you in here, big man.
Oh, I really appreciate it. You know, I wish I had been there.
I know, and look, there'll be more meetings this year.
Oh,
of course, this incoming year. You know, of course there will. Thank you
But
very much for joining us.
All we have to do is pick which one of you is going to wheel me about.
Exactly. Exactly. Please hang about. I'll speak to you after. Al, always a pleasure, mate. Good to see you, buddy. yeah, I would have felt wrong if I didn't have Al in there at some point, and it did feel it did. It wasn't right that he wasn't, or I say it wasn't right. He was missed. Put it like that, as a Highland Battalion member, and he was. I think all of us would agree. Very well spoken there. There was no money went into the swear jar this year at all. I don't know what we're going to do to I can actually see him down in the corner of the screen, effing and jeffing as we speak. How we're going to fund next year's trip. So there were results to be said, results to be made, and I'm going to try and wrap this up. There's 2 hours, which is long for me. For what? So I'm sure Drew's waiting to know what's coming in the post for him. So who was right, who was wrong as to which dram they had. Now, there are winners and losers. There's no prizes. I'm so glad that you all come in. So do you know what I'll do? I'll not bring anybody back. I'll just solo this out, because it was getting to the point where I could do with going to the loo. So I'm going to wrap this up, and then I'll speak to these people in private and tell them where they went wrong, and they're, So Lee J got, now Lee J, I know what he got. What he thought he got was Tony's Lowland, and I think I'm right in saying that. I don't think I've got these right. I'm convinced. I've ran it through the filters. I ran it through all sorts of things as to what they got. I'm damn sure I've got it nailed down as to what they actually got. So Tony thought, Lee J thought he got. Lee J, you ready for this? I'm watching him. Tony's Lowland. What he actually got was, and I'm not trying to shame anybody here, but he actually got Drew's Glen Scotia. And yes, he's hiding again. Nobody can. Well, there he is. Lee J, thoughts?
Yeah.
So what do you actually have? Have you any of it left?
No, it's all gone. So
yeah, well, what you actually had was the Glen Scotia.
Oh, I got chocolate on that as well. Really weird.
Yeah, there's no harm in that.
No, I didn't get the like P. I don't know. Maybe it was the previous one. Just
yeah, could have been, buddy. Yeah, you can talk your way out of it.
Yeah, that's taking me hole even deeper.
Shush. Neil got, and I had this all written down, and I think now Neil did say, and I do believe you did say that you thought you got it easy. Sorry, Lee J, I just thought I could bring you back and shame you a bit again. You thought you get Nigel's Isla. You did.
Oh,
so what can I say tonight? Now you were slightly concerned, but I'm gonna 100%. I can. That's all I can give you.
I'll take it.
I'm even writing down Neil 100%.
Happy days.
So well done, mate. What do you think, Isla?
That's the first I've had that cola. I would definitely have that again.
Mm-hmm. It's as I say, it took about a coming around to, but it was definitely good whenever it got there.
What's it like compared to the original 12, Jim? Is it much?
It's hard to sort of say because
it's up with that higher ABV.
Exactly, it's so much bigger.
Red is okay.
I would say it's closer to the 18.
Right.
On palate, but it's very definitively Kalila,
Mm-hmm.
Neil, well done, mate. I'll speak to you in a minute. I'll drop you out for now. You can go away and taps off and run around the house.
There's a sight.
Yeah, I'll cut you out before you do that. So, well done, the Neil. He did nail it. So, Tony, who's it would appear praying. Tony, you thought you had got
Trees.
Drew's Campbelltown. Now, you know, in fairness, you didn't.
Oh,
You got the Clynelish.
what?
Yep. You had the. This is it, I'm sipping. Yeah, you had the Clynelish. I'm sorry, you look a bit devastated.
No. I'm not too well versed with Clynelish, but
No, fair enough. What did you think of the
really good.
Clynelish?
Really good. Although I seem to get peat, which was weird.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Yeah. Probably.
You see, this is the thing, because Lee J's calling shenanigans, because you and him got them so wrong. I think this is right.
Because I was
And
convinced.
this is what annoys me, and this is what, because I know that whenever it's blind, it can all go, you know, it can all, you smell and you taste it.
Oh yeah.
I'm flipping. I keep questioning myself now: is did I actually give you guys?
I'm just trying to add more doubt to you.
Yeah, but no, I've definitely cross-examined it, and I'm convinced that you got the Clynelish. Sorry, mate.
Oh no.
You failed. Still love you, like, but speak to you in a minute, buddy.
That'll do, mate.
So, Graham, no pressure here. I've done it again. Graham, you reckoned you got Lee J. Did you reckon you had Lee J's Island? Let me see. So you reckon you had, and this is where it all got a bit confusing. What did you think of it? If I muted you.
No. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you, mate. Sorry, it's. Sorry, mate. I can't hear you if you're speaking.
Is that it now? No.
Anyway, I can't hear you, but sorry. But what I will tell you, for whatever reason, it's muted. But what I will tell you is, you got Tony's Strathclyde. You had the single grain. So also no, but you know, so I don't know why I can't hear you, mate. But listen, I'll be back in a minute. Don't worry. So last but not least, but not last, Nigel. But Drew, we will speak to Drew in a moment. I've done it again. Nigel, you thought you had Lee J's Island.
Yeah.
And I didn't question that because, well, I did question it. I did say, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to go with that?" And you actually said, "Yes, I do want to go with that." And you're right.
Yeah. Happy days.
You had the Lechic. So let me see. Nigel, you nailed it down to Isla. So Nigel, you also get 100%.
Ew.
There's a note going home. So
Happy days.
So it's not that there's been any failures, but you know, you there was two you did incredibly well. So fair play to you. Fair play to you. I'll knock you out for now, Nigel, and then we'll come back in shortly. Drew, if you were paying attention, you will have
Longmorn.
You do have Longmorn coming to you. You
Yeah.
see, now I'm convinced that you've all got the right samples.
Well, let's face it, my wife probably could have gotten both of those right if she would have been paying attention. Yeah,
I know,
it
I
definitely
apologize.
benefits. Yeah.
Well, in fairness, if I had, well, you're right. You're right. It did work its way around because you were last. There was always somebody who was going to be last and the only reason I put you last in the queue was because of your time of day. Really, that was because I wasn't sure. I hadn't really looked into what time it was going to be there, and I thought it could be 12 o'clock. I don't want to be drinking that much if it was that time of day. But
No worries.
you have a Longmorn coming in the post, along with a couple of other samples of things that I've sent you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, my friend.
Gentlemen, please stay around. I'm going to knock you off into the background for now. If you can, hang around there for a moment. Drew, thank you very much for coming on once again. And I will speak to you all very soon. If you don't mind hanging around in the background. I'm going to wrap this up. That's almost 2 hours, 15 minutes. It was a bit of fun for me. It really was. It's been 6 months in the working, that one. There's a few of you in the chat still, and I really appreciate you all being here. My back teeth are floating currently, so I need to really get to the bathroom. So even those of you who are in the green room will know this, that as soon as I go on live tonight, as soon as I end this broadcast, I'm out of here. Then I'll be back to talk to you. Just so as you know, in case you never see me disappearing. Listen, folks, it's been great to chat to you. This is the last live stream before Christmas. There will be more. Thank you so much for joining me this year. Very, very much appreciate it. More whiskey to come, more live streams to come. It has been an absolute blast of a year. I will be back in 2023 for more. Until then, here's to your good health. Cheers.